episode 11. Last week, I took a break to keep up social standings. And within that week, there was just a lot of news that came out. And a lot of news that I missed. Small things, big things. We're going to go over that all in this show. So this show will probably be a little longer than usual. But trust me, some of this news is crazy. And if you've missed it, then we'll definitely cover it and keep you up to date. So, as always, let's start with esports. Not last week, but a couple weeks ago was essentially the finals for League of Legends for like all the regions, which then moves on to mid-season intervention, which is MSI, which we'll also kind of look into, which is an international tournament. So in NA, the finals was Team Liquid versus TSM. Team Liquid won 3 wins to TSM's 2 wins, so they took it all the way to Game 5, and Team Liquid came out on top. So I think they are the first seed going to MSI. For Europe, I still don't understand the mix-up like last episode. They have like this whole Origins and Fnatic thing on the website. I think they mixed it up because I think G2 lost. So, because in the semifinals it says it's Origins versus Fnatic, but in the finals, I guess not. I don't know how they scripted it. It's weird. Because in the quarterfinals, Fnatic won against Splice, and then G2 won against Origins. But then I guess they have to have a tiebreaker in the semifinals, which is Origins versus Fnatic, where Origins won. So they went to go fight G2 again, where G2 won. So G2 is the first seed for Europe going into MSI. In Korea, the finals were Jin Air Green Wing versus ES Sharks. That's not right. That's promotional relegations. My bad. Again, like NA is just, because NA is just such a small region, it's just things work differently compared to all the other ones. And we only play like each team, I think, twice. So yeah. So SKT Telecom, of course, won the finals versus Griffin. They 3-0'd them. Actually, that's pretty surprising. They actually went on a crazy win streak. They're just immediately in semifinals. They 3-0'd Kingzone and then 3-0'd Griffin. So that's actually pretty impressive. And China, because China's the biggest region, the world champions from last year's World Championship, 3-0 JD Gaming. So they will also be moving on to MSI as the first seed. Now, into the stuff, like the actual spicy stuff with MSI, we'll have play-ins. And in play-ins, Group A is Foundglow Buffaloes, 1907, Fenerbahce, Ispor. I remember a lot of people hated saying their names at Worlds a couple years ago. The Bombers, and Insur Gaming. And then in Group B, we have Detonation Focus Me, Vega Squadron, Mega Esports, and NC Esports Club. And play-in knock-ins, that's yet to be decided, of course, because we have to see play-ins. In groups, we have SKT, G2, and Invictus. And then I think TSM or Team Liquid should be there too, but the other 4 to be decided. I don't think that's maybe because they haven't drawn yet. I don't know. It's weird. MSI should be in a couple weeks. International tournaments are always super fun to watch, and they're a lot better than your normal region tournaments. So I recommend you just go watch those. In Overwatch League, they're moving on stage 2. Again, as always, at the time of recording this, they're currently playing. Paris Eternal versus London Spitfires are actually live soon, so they're going to be the first ones coming up very soon. But in terms of the leaderboard and standings, Los Angeles Gladiators is first, San Francisco is second, Vancouver is third, then London Spitfires, then New York Excelsior, Shanghai Dragons, Chengdu Hunters, Philadelphia Fusion, and then the stage playoffs cutoff point happens, and then it goes to Paris, Los Angeles Valiants, Dallas, Hangzhou Spark, Boston Uprising, Seoul Dynasty, Atlanta, Toronto, Guangzhou, Houston, Washington, and Florida is in last place. In terms of game releases, there's been some spicy ones within these last 2 weeks. The first one being Mortal Kombat 11 came out, which we do have some news onto, which we will jump in right after this very soon. And the second one being Days Gone By, which I believe came out today, actually. Yeah, it came out today. So, those are the two games. Mortal Kombat 11, of course, you don't know the Mortal Kombat series. It's a brutal fighting series made by Netherlands Studios. They make one, it's also done by the same people who make the Injustice games. So, they're pretty fantastic, king of fighting games right next to Street Fighter. And Days Gone By is a PlayStation exclusive that is like another zombie game. I'm not that interested in it, but it looks kind of cool. And I always like PlayStation exclusive games. So, moving into some news. Last week, or not last week, but the last show, Star Wars Con was going on. And the day that I was recording the show, they actually had some more news about that Star Wars game. Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order, right? That I thought that died, but it's apparently still alive. So they had a trailer that came out, which looks pretty solid. I hope it's great. I always love Star Wars games, and it's been a long time since we got a really good solo Star Wars game. I know that Star Wars Battlefront 2 has been coming back from the dead, so it's good to see that. But that's not the only gaming-related Star Wars news. We also had Star Wars The Old Republic announced Onslaught. It's its newest expansion. If you don't know, Star Wars The Old Republic is an MMO made by BioWare, actually. Not the main team that fucked up Anthem, but I think the team in Houston, I believe. So they're getting their first expansion, which I can't believe this is their first, because that game, I don't know if that's their first, because that game's been out for so long. But that's the Star Wars news that I missed last week. Other small bit pieces of news. Twitch announced sorted streamers by small to large, which is really nice for people like me who are, trying to get out there, or small-time streamers, or just people streaming for fun and their friends or whatever. So it's really cool that, because Twitch really promotes big-time streamers like Ninja, because of course that's what makes them the most money, but it's always, they need to support the small guys too, I believe. At least get their names out there, at least feature one maybe on the front page every once in a while. I think that would be very nice. Sad news, creator of Lupin the Third has died. He died last week, I believe. Lupin the Third, it's a very famous kind of gangster anime. I've never seen it, but I've always planned to see it. So it's sad to see him go. I send him my condolences. Last of Us Part 2 has finished motion capture. So that's really good. Last of Us Part 2 is definitely a game on my radar. I played the first one. I fucking loved the first one. It was so good. And it's just one of those classic Sony father kind of daughters, father-child sort of adventure, emotional story, solo gameplay. And Last of Us number 1, I think, sold like a lot of copies. Like, it's one of the most popular games ever on the PS3, and then they ported it over to PS4. So if you haven't played The Last of Us, I highly recommend you go and check it out. It is a fantastic game. It's one of those zombie games, and that's why like Days Gone By falls a little bit short as another zombie PlayStation exclusive, because The Last of Us exists. And I think zombies in general is just a hard genre to break into in video games. Good news for Nintendo, actually twice. The first, or three things actually. The first good news for Nintendo being that their stocks jumped up when announcing the Switch in China. I actually did not know that the Chinese did not have the Switch yet. Their society is very interesting when it comes to gaming. They have the biggest audience, and a lot of publishers rely on China to make their game big. Maybe I'll do an episode about that because it's actually very interesting. But Switch being in China, huge news for Nintendo. And it's actually, and why I'm on that note, it's not just the gaming market, it's also the movie market as well. But so that's the first news for Nintendo. The second one being that Super Smash Bros. Ultimate has been the most sold fighting game of all time. Which, if you haven't played Ultimate, it's a fantastic fucking game. It's really fun, especially if you have friends to play with and you just sit on the couch and you just go at it. It's super casual. It's not difficult to break in like Street Fighter or Mortal Kombat. It's really fun. The other one being, and the last one being, another Super Smash Bros. Related news. Joker from Persona 5 has entered the battle. He is now part of the Super Smash Bros. Ultimate roster. He's the first person they announced, and I haven't played him yet, but if I ever get the chance to, Joker is a fantastic game, fantastic character from a fantastic game, Persona 5, which we also have more news on this week. So, more small news. Of course, today, Avengers Endgame drops, so Fortnite and Avengers are having another crossover event. Meh. Prey from League of Legends, the ADC, the famous duo Prey and Gorilla, who went to Worlds, I believe in 2016. He did not win, however. He has officially retired, so it's sad to see him go. He was a crazy player, and I always liked watching him as an ADC main. I hope he has the best of luck in life, and I give him my condolences. Violet Evergarden, the movie, premieres January 10th, 2020. If you haven't seen Violet Evergarden, it is a fantastic anime series on Netflix. Out of all the animes that came out last year in 2018 or 2017, pretty sure it's 2018, Violet Evergarden and Devilman Crybaby, you've heard me talk about them before on the shows. They are fantastic. Just great animation, beautiful stories, crazy, wonderful soundtrack, and I highly recommend you just go and watch them on Netflix right now. And I'm actually really happy to see them create more Violet Evergarden content, especially if it's at the same quality. I don't want them to get the One Punch Season 2 treatment, or One Punch Season 1, of course, I've heard from my friends, was fantastic, but then Season 2, which is going on right now, has fallen somewhat short. Moving on, Kingdom Hearts 3 is getting its critical mode out. I believe it's already out now, so if you want to play Kingdom Hearts 3 on the hardest difficulty possible, much harder than what it launched with, which was Proud, which was pretty easy, and Normal, which was also really fucking easy. You can now go have a challenge. Super Mario Maker 2, the infamous game from the Wii U, where the community made crazy ass speedrunning Mario levels super fucking difficult, will be out on June 28th. So it comes out June 28th, which is very close at the end of the month. And I can't wait to see some of the crazy maps people design in this game. Actually, more Switch news. The Switch reached 8 million lifetime units sold in Japan. That may outsell the PS4's lifetime. So this, again, just Nintendo just, keeping up the momentum with the Switch, and they're just blasting off. So, let's move on to some bigger news. Overwatch. Everyone's kind of not really favorite first-person TF2 clone shooter, released that they will be having a workshop. So, I just said TF2 clone, actually. So, Valve games are known for having, like, workshops, which is community-made content, essentially. And now Overwatch is doing this, which is very interesting. So you can, like, make community-made maps and etc. with Overwatch Workshop, game modes, etc. It's interesting. It's actually really fucking interesting because I think Overwatch is kind of a dead game. I think that the esports scene is blown up for the game, but that's only because it's Blizzard is just inflating that market. I haven't really run into anyone who plays Overwatch consistently, not to the level that I have with, like, League of Legends, so to speak. I haven't run into people who watch Overwatch League consistently to the level of, like, other esports games like League of Legends. I know that it's being chosen by a lot more, like, I remember there's a report in Korea that even though League's more popular there, broadcasters chose to broadcast the Overwatch League because of, you know, basically there's more money in the Overwatch League than there is in League of Legends because Blizzard is inflating that. So, what's my point behind this? Well, it just kind of goes to say that the game has its problems. And I feel like Blizzard as a company, you know, they're struggling with this game. They're struggling with Battle for Azeroth, where a lot of WoW players are going to Final Fantasy XIV for its new expansion. They're struggling with Hearthstone, I believe. I don't know how the new expansion, how people have taken the new expansion so much, but I know that Hearthstone has always been a controversial game. So it just seems like they're running out of ideas and they really need kind of the community to step up and the ones who actually give a shit to kind of do their jobs for them. Which is cool. I mean, it's not bad. I mean, that's how Valve has survived for so long. But I think Blizzard is just putting their eggs in the wrong basket, so to speak, and they're just focusing on the wrong things. Of course, they got so much backlash when they announced that Diablo game, like, last year at BlizzCon. I remember the clip, and it's like, is this the early April Fool's joke? So, and actually, BlizzCon should be coming up soon this year. Now I look at this website, it says May 4th. So that's actually incredibly soon. So they're in a very tight spot where if they don't grab the WoW community, then they'll go to Final Fantasy XIV. If they don't grab the Hearthstone community, they'll go to Magic Gathering Arena. And if they don't grab the Overwatch community, fuck it. They'll go back to CSGO or Fortnite or whatever shooters, you know, people want to play. Or TF2, you know? TF2 is a TF2 clone after all. Sorry, that was just the camera. So, that's that. Persona 5! Hey! So, I love Persona 5. I'm trying to convince my friend to play it. Yes, it's super anime, but that doesn't fucking matter. It has a fucking kick-ass soundtrack. Honestly, one of the best soundtracks I have ever heard. And it is fantastic. And watching the new trailer for Persona 5 The Royals, the new songs that they have on that track, still just fucking top notch. They are so good. And I highly recommend that, and I've mentioned it before, go listen to the classic Velvet Room theme. I think it's called the Poem of the Soul. You can listen to Get Up, Get Out There, Last Surprise, just some tracks from Persona 5's soundtrack, because the soundtrack is fantastic. But not only that, but the story and the gameplay is fantastic. It's actually a game where I spent $60 and I'm not paying for 8 hours of just story content. I'm playing for 100 hours plus. So it just keeps you occupied for so long, and there's so much to do, and you can't complete anything on the first playthrough, and it's about building relationships, and it's just a fantastic game. And a lot of people have not heard of Persona 5 until Joker, of course, joined Super Smash Bros. So I highly recommend, if you haven't played the game, go play it. Even if it just does not seem your type of style of game, go play it, because that's what I thought at first, and it definitely meets your meaning. It is a fantastic work of art. Now, moving on to the news, they have 2 Persona 5s. They have so it's expansion. So I'll just read the article that is in front of me from Polygon. Atlas, which is the company that makes Persona 5, will release an expanded version of the role-playing game Persona 5, titled Persona 5 The Royale, for PS4 in Japan on October 31st. The game will come to North America and other regions sometime in 2020. So that kind of sucks, actually. For us in North America, but at least it's coming out, and we'll know how it is. Persona 5 The Royales will add numbers of new features to the game, including a new Phantom Thief named, and I'm sorry, Kazumi Koshizawa, a new confidant named Takudo Marukui, and who works as a counselor at Shujin Academy, a new location to explore, Kinjo. The game will touch on students' third semester at school, and a teaser trailer posted by Atlas, blah 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 blah. The full trailer's out, came out a couple days ago, I think yesterday actually, or Thursday, or yesterday was Thursday, or Wednesday, and the trailer's in Japanese, but it looks really fucking good. And I'm definitely excited to have that game. The other news is that it's Persona 5 like Switch or some shit too. There's another type of Persona 5. I haven't really looked into it. That's not the ones that people are looking at, because that one is for the Switch, and I think it's heavily downgraded. Mortal Kombat 11. So, Mortal Kombat 11 came out last Friday. It had a lot of good feedback, actually. The game itself, right? The actual fighting mechanics of the game, the gameplay has been really solidly reviewed, as in a lot of people enjoyed the game. However, like any good modern game today, it is hella grindy and filled with microtransactions, supposedly, which is also a huge turnoff in the gaming community. And this game suffers from it. It also suffers from, apparently people didn't like Jace's ending, which I don't understand, but okay. So, there's this report, some dude crunched the numbers and said it would take $6,440 to buy every skin in the game without grinding, assuming you have perfect luck and are checking on the store every 6 to 8 hours, which is ridiculous. So, it's fucking ridiculous. And let me tell you the reason actually why they did it. And it's very interesting that they did this, especially because this game also got earlier controversy for bringing down the level of sexuality with the characters that have always been kind of a staple of Mortal Kombat, of like how much they're exposed. But the brutality of the fatalities actually kind of went up too. So let's talk about Mortal Kombat games and Injustice series. Street Fighter V came out 2013, I believe, or around there, and it is still kicking. They've updated it, yes. They added Arcade Edition in 2017, I believe, and it is still going as one of the top fighting games for Capcom. They have not changed anything about it too much. They just keep building on to it. Right? And people don't expect they don't expect Street Fighter 6 to come out anytime soon. That's not how it works for Netherlands. Netherlands have put themselves in a position where there's no real esports scene for Street Fighter games being constantly supported as much as Capcom is pushing Street Fighter. Netherlands isn't doing that, so they have to make a new type of Street Fighter game every 3, 4, or 5 years or so. So we've seen this, and it's been this way since like Mortal Kombat 9. I remember Mortal Kombat 9 came out, then Injustice, then we had Mortal Kombat 10, and like 10XL or whatever, and then we had Injustice 2, and now we have Mortal Kombat 11. So it's gonna keep doing this cycle, right? Because they're not making money like Capcom is off of just keep adding new fucking characters and whatever. They can do that. I don't know why they don't. Because, yeah, Capcom games are hella grindy and there's the fucking Fighters Pass, whatever the fuck. But it keeps the game afloat, keeps it alive, keeps the player base there. And with Mortal Kombat games, that's not true. I mean, like, so you play and then that community just dies down, and that community expects you for every couple years to release a new Mortal Kombat game. That's why I'm not buying a new Mortal Kombat game, because I know it won't be fucking viable. The community will die down. I mean, it's popular at launch and it'll be popular for a couple months, and then it kind of flies in the radar. There's no real competitive scene for it to like the extent of Smash or Street Fighter, and they're gonna make a new one in like 2-3 years. So I'm not surprised to see this game plagued with microtransactions. Maybe they're trying to do a long-term thing and they've seen that it's working, and it's been in development for probably a decent long time. But now that, you know, we're cracking down on this stuff, it just doesn't work. So yeah, it's sad to see that, because I'm sure the game's great. It's just really sad to see that happen. Last but not least, glorious news from Sony, the PlayStation 5. And this actually leaked too on like the Xbox's kind of reveal, which went under the radar. I think Xbox is like, it's a console now. It's just an Xbox without the disc drive in it, so you download all your games through the internet or something like that. But quickly go over the PS5. I recommend that you read this article yourself. So of course, tech-wise, it's going to be a lot stronger. It's going to have AMD chip in it, new graphics cards, solid state driver will be available for budget laptop, this, etc. The interesting thing is that it will support 8K graphics, which is fucking ridiculous because people have barely moved to 4K. So I don't know how 8K is gonna work, but you know, fuck it, dude. It's a cool feature. The other interesting thing is that it will have, I don't see it, I'm not seeing it, and I forget where it is, but it will have backwards compatibility. So, what does that mean? It has backwards compatibility. So basically, all your PS3 games, or not PS3, PS4 games, will be playable on the PS5, which is great. And it's good it's good because it preserves history, right? If games need to be backward compatibility, old games need to be preserved, you know? There's a reason why, because I want to play Persona 3 or Persona 4, right? Those games came out on PS2. They're really hard to get. And if I wanted to get them legally, that's fucking hard. Now, if I do it illegally, I have to do it through an emulator, and then that's illegal, and I don't own the game, and that's janky. So having these games being backwards compatibility from all games on the PS4, being able to move up to the PS5, and hopefully that will go onwards for forever, is fantastic, because I would love to play God of War 20 years from now and just experience that over again, you know? So that's probably one of the biggest selling points. Of course, Xbox has been doing this for a while now, but it's good to see Sony kind of, moving up in the world. The other one being that they're super invested in a new VR headset. Apparently, it's going to be a lot easier. Yeah, it's gonna be better. I mean, it's VR. There's nothing really cool I can say about this. VR is super cool, but I'm pretty sure like not a whole lot of people are super into it. So that's kind of the PS5 news. Of course, there's more, and I recommend you go read the article yourself. But it's good to see that we got a little bit of PS5 news. Of course, I think we'll get more news maybe in June at E3. I know that Sony isn't going to be at E3, but maybe around there we'll get more news, and I'm sure that we'll get a release date or something for it to come out sometime next year. That's going to conclude our show. I got to go make some food. If you didn't know, yesterday we did a stream for War of the Spark, so you can go on our Twitch channel and check out us unboxing and playing in our first reactions to the new Magic the Gathering set. It was super fun to do. It was me and TJ. I recommend you go see that. All of our past shows will be up on our YouTube channel. And if you want to listen to the show, you can find us on Spotify, SoundCloud, iTunes, and Google Podcasts. You can follow us on our social media Instagram. And of course, follow the stream where we do it live every Friday at 7 p.m. Central Time, where you can come and ask me questions live on the stream. Of course, I will be always happy to answer. Thank you for listening, and I hope you're having a wonderful day.